Hello, everyone. My name is Melanie Burden, and today I will be discussing the stages of group development as they apply to counseling individuals struggling with substance use disorders. For this presentation, I created a relapse prevention and recovery support group. I chose this type of group because recovery from addiction is often more successful when individuals have support from others who understand what they are experiencing. Addiction can be very isolating. Many individuals have damaged relationships with their family members and friends, and some have lost their support systems altogether. Group counseling helps clients recognize that they are not alone, provides opportunities to learn from each other, and creates a sense of hope that recovery is possible. Research has shown that social support improves recovery outcomes by reducing relapse and increasing treatment engagement. As counselors, our role is not simply to teach coping skills, but also to create an environment that clients feel accepted, respected, and encouraged by both the therapist and other group members. Today, I will describe the group I would facilitate, discuss the characteristics of members who would be the best fit, and explain each of the 4 stages of group development. At each stage, I will describe the counseling skills I would use, the specific interventions, and I would implement to help the group become successful. The group I designed is called the Relapse Prevention and Recovery Support Group. Its purpose is to help adults recovering from substance use disorders strengthen their recovery, develop healthy coping skills, improve communication, learn relapse prevention strategies, and build supportive relationships with others who are working towards similar goals. This group would meet once every week for approximately 90 minutes. I would limit the group to 8 to 10 members. Keeping the group relatively small gives everyone an opportunity to participate while still allowing members to benefit from hearing different experiences and perspectives. I would facilitate a closed group. A closed group means that after the first few sessions, no new members would be admitted. This is important because it helps establish trust, consistency, and group cohesion. Members become more comfortable sharing personal experiences when they know everyone has been together throughout the counseling process. The members of this group would be adults who have been diagnosed with substance use disorder and are actively participating in treatment or continuing care after treatment. Before admitting someone into the group, I would complete an assessment to determine whether the group counseling is appropriate. Members should be emotionally stable enough to participate, willing to respect confidentiality, motivated to improve their recovery, and able to communicate respectfully with others. There are also individuals who may not be appropriate for this group. Someone experiencing active psychosis, severe cognitive impairment, or significant medical instability may first need individual treatment or stabilization before participating safely in group counseling. Creating the right group is one of the therapist's first responsibilities because successful groups begin with selecting members who are appropriate for the goals of the group. The first stage of the group is the initial stage. First stage of development, group development, is the initial stage. My apologies. This stage focuses on helping members become comfortable with one another while creating a safe and supportive counseling environment. Many individuals entering addiction treatment experience anxiety, shame, fear, guilt, or embarrassment, so worry about being judged. Others may question whether counseling will actually help because they have experienced relapse or unsuccessful treatment in the past. My first responsibility as a therapist is establishing trust. One of the most important counseling skills during this stage is attending and active listening. Attending means giving the client my full attention through eye contact, open body language, empathy, and careful listening. When clients feel heard, they are more likely to participate honestly. One intervention I would use in reviewing confidentiality and discussing why confidentiality is so important in group counseling. Members who need to understand that personal information shared with the group should remain within the group. Although counselors cannot guarantee that every member will remain confidentiality, discussing expectations from the beginning helps establish trust. I would also review attendance expectations, explain group rules, discuss respectful communication, and encourage members to support one another throughout the counseling process. Another important counseling skill during the initial stage is asking open-ended questions. Rather than asking questions that require only yes or no answers, I would ask questions such as, what motivated you to begin treatment? What are your goals for recovery? What strengths have helped you overcome difficult situations in the past? These questions encourage conversation while allowing members to share only what they feel comfortable discussing. I would also normalize feelings of anxiety by explaining that it is completely normal to feel nervous during your first group session. By the end of the initial stage, I want members to begin trusting both me and one another while feeling safe enough to actively participate in future sessions. The second stage is the transition stage. This is often considered the most challenging stage because members begin testing both the therapist and the group. Some members may become quiet and withdrawn. Other members may become argumentative or question the value of treatment. Some may struggle with trusting others because addiction has negatively affected many of their previous relationships. Rather than reviewing resistance as a problem, I view it as a normal part of the counseling process. One counseling skill I would use during this stage is reflection of feelings. Reflection helps members recognize emotions that may not have been addressed directly. For example, if a client says they are tired of failing every time they try to stop using substances, I might respond by saying, "It sounds like you're discouraged because you've worked hard before and you're afraid this time will end the same way." Reflection communicates empathy while encouraging members to explore their emotions more deeply. Another important counseling skill during this stage is conflict management. Conflict is not necessarily a negative thing. If managed appropriately, disagreements can help members develop healthier communication skills. If conflict occurs, I would remind members of the group rules, redirect disrespectful communication, and encourage them to express themselves honestly while remaining respectful. I would also encourage members to recognize similarities in their experiences instead of focusing only on differences. As trust increases, members often begin realizing they are not alone in their struggles, and group cohesion becomes stronger. The third stage is working stage. This is where the majority of therapeutic changes occur. By this point, members have developed enough trust to openly discuss difficult issues related to addiction and recovery. Members become more willing to discuss cravings, relapse triggers, stress, trauma, family relationships, guilt, shame, and personal successes. One counseling skill I would frequently use is summarizing. Throughout each session, I would summarize the important themes discussed by the group. For example, I might say, "Today we discussed stress, loneliness, and conflict with family members who can increase cravings. We also identified healthy coping strategies such as attending meetings, calling a sponsor, exercising, journaling, and practicing mindfulness." Summaries reinforce learning while helping members recognize patterns within their recovery. Another counseling approach I would use is motivational interviewing. Motivational interviewing helps clients discover their own reasons for change rather than relying on advice from the therapist. I would ask questions such as, why is it important for you to improve your life since becoming sober? What motivates you to continue your recovery? What strengths helped you remain sober during difficult situations? I would also provide affirmations by recognizing members' progress and strengths. Examples include saying, "You demonstrated a great deal of courage by sharing your experience today. It sounds like you've developed healthier ways to manage stress." These affirmations help build confidence and reinforce positive behaviors. During the working stage, I would facilitate discussions about relapse prevention, coping skills, emotional regulation, communication, healthy relationships, and rebuilding trust with the families. I would also encourage members to support one another by offering encouragement, sharing successful coping strategies, and celebrating recovery milestones together. Many clients report that hearing another group member's success story gives them hope that long-term recovery is possible. The final stage is the termination stage. Although counseling is ending, recovery continues long after the final group session. Termination often brings mixed emotions. Some members feel excited because they recognize how much they have grown. Others feel anxious about leaving the group that has become an important source of support. As a therapist, my role is helping members recognize their accomplishments while preparing them to continue recovery independently. One counseling skill I would use is encouragement and affirmation. I would recognize each member's strengths by highlighting the progress they have made throughout treatment. For example, I might point out improvements in communication, emotional regulation, honesty, accountability, or confidence. Recovery is not measured only by the absence of the substance use, it is also measured by personal growth and healthier ways of living. The second intervention is developing a relapse prevention plan. Every member would create an individualized plan identifying personal triggers, warning signs, coping skills, supportive individuals, community resources, and emergency contacts. I would encourage members to continue participating in recovery support groups such as Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Smart Recovery, outpatient counseling, and alumni programs. The goal is for members to leave treatment feeling prepared, confident, and connected to ongoing support systems. In closing, group counseling is an essential part of addiction treatment because recovery is strengthened through supportive relationships. Throughout each stage of group development, the therapist's role changes to meet the evolving needs of members. During the initial stage, the therapist creates safety and establishes trust. During the second stage, the therapist helps members work through resistance while strengthening group cohesion. During the working stage, the therapist facilitates meaningful behavioral change by teaching coping skills, encouraging peer support, and reinforcing motivation for recovery. Finally, during the termination stage, the therapist prepares members to continue their recovery independently by celebrating their progress and developing plans for continued success. If I were facilitating a group, my overall goal would be to create an environment where every member feels respected, understood, and supported. Recovery can be challenging, but individuals are often much more successful when they know they do not have to face those challenges alone. Thank you for taking the time to watch my presentation. I hope this discussion has demonstrated how understanding the stages of group development helps counselors facilitate effective groups for individuals recovering from substance use disorders. Personal story about me. I am going to try to establish a group therapy and environment that allows me to use both experience and skill to facilitate it, to adapt it, to modify it so people feel comfortable, because I remember I was an addict for 28 years, and oftentimes when I went to group therapy, I didn't feel included, cohesive, understood, and experienced a lot of distress because I felt like towards the end, I feel like towards the end, right before I got sober, it was defeating because I felt like nobody understood, because I had tried and tried and tried and tried and tried. So I want to offer a safe place, an environment for people to come, feel safe, cohesive, supported, and then after therapy, again, I didn't know where to turn for resources after I had left group therapy when I was an addict. So I think that was a downfall to relapsing, is I didn't know where to get the resources provided. So I think by providing the resources, establishing the trust, and helping work in a cohesive environment for people to be in and attend. I think that would help group counseling and progression forward in that environment and what I will do in that environment. So, again, thank you for listening. Greatly appreciated, and have a great day.